back to Waste Some Time with Jason Green. I am Jason Green. Rock magazines. Did you grow up with a favorite rock magazine, pinup magazine? Did you hang pictures of your favorite rock stars on the wall? I think all generations did that. In the 70s, maybe Cream magazine and maybe Rolling Stone. But for me, in the 80s, Faces magazine, Circus magazine, later Metal Edge magazine. These were all magazines that had my favorite rockers, and I definitely hung up the pictures, and me and my friends looked at them and decided, they were larger than life. There was a time when you knew everyone's name too. You go through these magazines, you knew the members. Now, modern bands, I'm not sure you can name everyone. Back then, we could even name the photographers, and you knew your favorite photographers. We're going to have a discussion today on whether or not rock magazines are dead. I don't know where you'd even go buy a rock magazine anymore, because Walmart, maybe you could go buy a $15 Life magazine tribute to something, but an actual rock magazine with pictures of your favorite stars, not sure it exists. So did the internet kill the rock magazine? Did the cell phone kill the rock photographer? Well, Mark Weiss is here, world-renowned photographer Mark Weiss, the Weissguy, and he's got something to say about all this. We're also going to be joined by an all-star panel. You're going to want to stick around for this one. And it all happens right after this. Just wanna waste some time with you. Sometimes it seems too good to be true. Nobody out there to waste time with you. Right, here he is, Mark Weiss, the Weissguy.
Hey, Jason, always good to see you, brother.
Good to see you as well, Mark, and I'm so glad you're here. And look, we're going to talk about the past and the future of rock magazines, and we're going to be joined by some people that obviously you had photographed and get their memories on rock magazines. But we should be honest, one of the main reasons we're here is that you're going to try your best to save the rock magazine.
I am indeed. Yes, sir. I mean, I want to do it for the fans, but even for me, because I miss seeing my photo and the little photo credit on the side. I mean, I always look forward to that when I first started back in '78, when my first photo of Steven Tyler was in the centerfold of Circus magazine. And it's just always a thrill, and it always will be. So now I have a magazine, which we'll talk about, called Rocked, and every photo is mine. The cover, the back cover, the centerfold, the pinups, everything. So it's what I always dreamed of, and it's pretty much bringing back like Circus, Hit Parader, Faces, Cream, Rip magazine, Metal Edge, all into one. Like every magazine that I was published in, and I have control over it. So it's my magazine, along with my partner Mikkel Pellicone, who's the designer that helped me. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do this without her, because she designed every page in the magazine. And they're kind of like mini episodes of a book in the making, because the Decade That Rocked, as you know, took 5 years to make my book, the coffee table book. And now it's like, this is kind of like a quick fix, but I think it's going to be good for the fans, good for the, the newbies that don't know about rock magazines, that they actually will. I can't see like a 55-year-old hanging up a picture of Sebastian Bach in their room. But they did back in the day. But now we have a centerfold of Sebastian Bach in the first issue, and the second issue, Ace Frehley, centerfold, and we have pinups. And I could see the new generation like having a blast, kind of doing it. I think they're going to have fun with it. So, it's just a little bit of a thing, and hopefully everyone will catch on to it.
Yeah, and we'll explain it, and we'll just show people where to go, and also they can pick up some cool collectibles. In the meantime, I have my rock magazine right here, and I'm going to show that in just a little bit. But so we've got some guests joining us. And Mark, you've been on the show before, and we've talked a little bit about your past. You started at just taking photos for fun at shows, selling them on the streets, right? Kiss photos outside Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. I mean, I got my first camera I got my first camera mowing someone's lawn for when I was 13 years old. They gave me this camera for mowing his lawn for the season. And then from then, a few years later, I started going to concerts, and then I started sneaking into the concerts, and then taking them, blowing them up, and then selling them outside of my high school locker and outside concert venues. And until I got arrested at a Kiss concert, that I ended up being a photographer for Circus magazine. That's the whole story in itself. But
yeah, no, absolutely. And but a lot of people know your history, and definitely know some of your record covers. Twisted Sister, Stay Hungry, Cinderella Night Songs, Bon Jovi, Slippery and Wet, those come to mind. Now, in just a minute, we're going to be joined by somebody who may or may not appear on this cover right here. Do you remember doing this photo shoot?
Yeah, we did Faces magazine was I started working for Circus, then I did Hit Parader, but Faces came along in 1983 with the editor Michael Kirk, who I did a lot of photo shoots with Wii magazine, with rock stars, with scantily clad women, and then Michael took this to another level and started this magazine Faces, who was the editor. So we wanted to always kind of make it kind of like a Rolling Stone-ish type thing. So we wanted to do rock stars in concept. So this was a New Year's Eve issue. Every month we kind of came up with a new theme. And this was cool. I mean, putting rock stars in tuxedos and, just something different. The band is used to wearing their stage clothes and doing their thing. But, they put these tuxedos on and, it's just like, it's a new kind of feeling for them. It's different. So it's a different reaction. And that's what photographers like to get. They like to get a new and different kind of feel towards the camera. And I feel like we had fun with the shoot. It's different. We've done so many shoots and it's always good to do something a little outside the box. And that's what I like.
Do you think Stephen Pearcy remembers this photo shoot?
I don't know. I don't even remember the photo shoot because, I should, because these photo shoots start in like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and then sometimes they go to like 3 or 4 in the next day.
Well, let's ask him right now. Stephen Pearcy is here.
Oh wow!
Am I in there?
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, Stephen.
What? Look at that cover. I remember that cover. Because we had a fake pool and everything, right? Like a little mat.
Yeah, right.
Looked like a pool.
We did a couple shoots. I used to do these backgrounds with, like I said, I like to put them in different settings so they kind of come into something different than just being their rock star selves, So we had a pool setting, and then this one was another one. So yeah.
Hey, what? I have a question. Wasn't that when we were out with Ozzy? Wasn't he right around then? Was that? Looks like real 84.
That was, what was that? What does it say on that cover?
84, 85.
It says it's January 85. So it was taken in 84.
Oh,
No, but the photo was taken in 84.
Yeah, it kind of looks like, if I remember, we were out with Ozzy and maybe had to break for that or something. But then again, my memory is just coming back the last 10 years. But,
yeah,
but I remember that. And Mark, is we hosting Mark right now?
Yes.
Mark, yeah. I got to tell you something real quick, and then I've got to go. There were a handful of photographers. Thanks, Bear. There were a handful of photographers that you really, really wanted to shoot with. And, it was like the Weiss, the Slows, this guy, that guy. And it wasn't just we wanted to shoot with them, like they were all good. But these guys are like brothers. Like Mark would go on the tour bus and hang out for a few days, we'd bring them out. You'd live together. You'd hang out. It was different than just going, oh yeah, this guy's a great hot shot photographer, and then you're in and then you're out. We actually had, friendships, and it was cool. That's really what was cool about then, going into a photo session.
Mark, you traveled with Ratt, their first sort of in the very beginning. Did you go on the bus for a week?
I did, maybe even longer. What was so fun about it was like these guys were experiencing new things as I did with other bands. So I kind of knew what they were going into. Like when they did these radio signings, where they went to the record stores and they did the little, the cars and, where they did the slot cars and everything. So.
You did that one of, that's a great photo of Warren and me sitting on the race car from that racetrack we did.
Yeah, so it's like all these experiences that I wanted to, like, for me, it's like shooting 4 or 5 new friends every time I shot a band. And these guys was solid with me. It's like, it wasn't even like taking photos. It was just me hanging out and just taking a snapshot. But
right. And the best thing about it, that's what I mean. There were only, if any, not even a handful of you guys that we really latched onto and went, these are our brothers. Nope, this guy's got to shoot us, not the, you know, yeah.
And that's what makes this. That's when you look at a photograph, you see the connection. That's what makes a photograph
Right.
special. Just like not having to do it, but kind of wanting to do it, or
You want to do it. You want to do it. Yeah.
And you know they know that if they do a photo shoot with me, that it's going to end up in all the magazines. That's just a bonus. I mean,
100%. And the backstage stuff was great. I remember that one photo. It's actually in the new magazine, your new magazine, of me in that blow up guitar.
Right.
Yeah, oh, you shot? Yeah. Everybody was messing with that thing, Robin and all of us. It was good. It was fun.
Where's that hunk magazine I wanted to show? I got Stephen, before you go, I got a couple of questions, and we're going to be joined by your bandmate, a former bandmate, Fred Coury, in just a minute.
Right.
From the band Arcade, you guys weren't together, and he was in, obviously, Cinderella. But, Stephen has told me that they were just as crazy as Motley Crue on the road. It may be crazier. They just didn't film it and write books about it at the time. Mark, was it a little wild out there?
Well, I will attest to that because I was on the road with Motley and experienced all that, biting me and everything, But these guys were just as crazy. I mean, look.
We were all out. It was all out. It's your first tour and stuff, and then you're like, all of a sudden, you got this famous photographer with you, and it was a trip, man. You take it all, take it in.
They were showboating a little bit, but it was fun.
This is Rock Punks magazine. This is not
I'm glad I can't see that.
This is not a Mark photo, but you're having relations with a mannequin of sorts in these photos. And
yeah, well, I did wacky shit back then just to do it. When Playgirl approached me, when they approached me, I only did it because David Lee Roth was on the cover, and I went, okay, we'll get some promotion press out of this. So I did that, but showy little ass, and that's about it.
Were you worried about doing it at the time?
No, they wanted me to do frontal, and I went, no, you out of your fucking minds. I go, I'll show you my ass. What do I care? Everyone's got one.
Yeah, well, I'm showing the cover right now. Playgirl with David Lee Roth on the cover. So, Stephen, before you go, I want to ask you: did you collect rock magazines when you were younger?
Oh, 100%. I've seen his photos before I was even in a band. Mark was out shooting these people, right? Weren't you shooting? You were really young.
Well, yeah, I was starting to shoot when I shot Van Halen in '79. I was like 19,
Right. So you'd see you'd see some of these photos. I mean, I'd collect those, and then when we, obviously, Ratt had the opportunity to, hey, we're big guys now, totally took advantage of it and loved every second of it. And I collected some, but my mom collected all of them, which is kind of cool because I was able to, she saved them, and I'm able to go, holy shit, I remember this, and I don't remember this.
So Jason, so one of the things that in Rock Magazine that's in this issue where when we did the Monsters of Rock cruise, we got that, and we got so this is going to be in the David Lee Roth cover issue, and one of the things we do is we pull out interviews from the past, and then we also do stuff from the present. So I got Adrian Stone, who is working for Hit Parader, and here's one of your first interviews, Stephen, from 1983. Jason, do you want to read a little bit of it, or do you want me to?
God.
Is it in here? Hold on.
It's page 8, and this is kind of like one of your first interviews you did before you went on the road.
I think you have to read it. I don't have a page 8.
Okay, here we go. Oh, that's right. I got it. Okay. So it's like, you must be eager to hit the road and tour the rest of the country. Stephen, yeah, we have our tour being planned. I've only been to New York City once, and I didn't really check out the music scene. I wasn't really aware. I was more into fashion. I stayed with all these models, but we can't wait to get on the road. So that's something you said back in 1983.
Interesting. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I find stuff that's pretty interesting from back when, but hey, It's all truth. We didn't hold back. And one thing in Ratt is we didn't hold back on anything. We thought it was fun, you know. We have the opportunity to be like the big guys, you know, and we had a good time. It was all about a good time, nothing else, you know.
Another thing that was asked was, this is Adrian mentioned. She goes, "Your stage show is not the typical boobs and bombs and boobs event," and you said, "We're not into fire. We're not into smoke. We're just into good, thick-ass, heavy rock. That's why Ratt has no competition, because we don't bring naked girls on stage. We leave them at the home or backstage or hotel rooms."
He still feels that way.
I still feel
like
that way.
smoke and fire. Yeah.
Yeah, we hate that shit.
Right. We're not into things that take attention away from the band. We're into the theatrics, things that we do. A couple of our songs we dedicate to cowboys, and I put on guns and a hat, and that's no big deal. We're obsessed with leather. We like that a lot. Every one of us love it. That's for bedroom stuff. We like to look nice and play hard. We really want to be able to whoop the people and just being ourselves, our looks and our music, because we work hard and we make sure we sweat.
There you
Stephen,
go.
when I watch your old interviews, you were much more soft-spoken than you are now. Even a little shy, I got the impression. Would that be true?
I just maybe thought about things a little longer than, you know, it was all new. And you're cautious and you're weary, and, you know, and looking back on it, hindsight, that's why we really only have a few really good people we trust, like Mark Weiss, Slows, or whatever. 40 plus years later, you know, you acquire relationships. Some people you never want to deal with again. I don't care if it's a photographer or whoever, but there are certain guys like Mark and them that we're tight and we'll always be tight. You know, we know each other very well. If he had a camera, I would know exactly what Mark wanted, you know, and which is good. So
He definitely has a style. When you look at a
yeah.
photo of Ratt or Motley, you know a Mark Weiss a photo. I feel that way, at least.
Yeah, it's correct. It's correct. They both have their own styles, and like I say, at the end of the day, we would only trust, you know, one of a few of these guys, you know, especially after you're in front of the camera for the first 2 years, you know, doing all these shows and press and whatever, unless it's like the, you know, New York Times or LA or something huge, some big magazine to where you don't have a choice, right? But if you have a choice, we're only picking the guys we want, you know, or if they go, Mark went, hey, I want to do Ratt, right there. We're still that way to this day. You know, we're still that tight.
I mean, these guys are on the road. I mean, you know, for a year at a time, if not two, on a tour. And for a photographer like me or Zloz or whoever would like come join in, it's kind of like having like a new girlfriend come out and just kind of hang out, you know, and have some fun. It's almost like a break. All right, it's these guys, 5 guys driving on the tour bus, and now you got another friend to hang out with for a week. And like,
I agree 100%. We take on all comers. You know, one time we had this Japanese photographer come out with us, and the interviewer guy. Oh, I mean, God, talk about a good time. I mean, Robin and I wearing panty hats and, you know, taking some crazy photos. That's when you can have a good time, you know, when these guys hang out for a week or so.
It breaks it up, you know, it breaks up the monotony, and they know it's going to be for a good reason too. Because when they see, what I always do is when I go back on the road, like I'll go out for a week or two, then maybe a couple months later, I'll come back when I have some goodies to show them, some magazines, you know, and show it to them for the first time. They get excited. They see themselves on the cover or in a centerfold or a gatefold.
Oh, yeah, totally.
That only sparks it, and you just get more out of them then. So,
and I got to tell you, I love those magazines back then. It's such a drag that we don't have them really anymore. That's why this is great. You got this rag out there. Bring it back. You know, you get these centerfolds, and you go, fuck, man, I always wanted that. You know, when you're up and coming, you know, and there you go. It's like, it's crazy, you know. Just to think about it, because I used to look at photos of Zeppelin, and you know, I'd go through those old hit paraders and circuses back then and go, God, you know, how cool would it be? Well, there you go. Thank you very much. You know.
When I think of photogenic people, I think of Blas Elias right there. There he is.
There you go.
You don't
I
age.
know that.
Hey,
you
I know
you
those
don't
guys.
age. Um, I say that I don't always tell people that Blas was the hunk of the month unless I'm trying to get a good table in a restaurant or a better seat on the plane, and then we use that information. I'm going to get Fred Coury in here. Stephen, you got a minute, or do you want to get out of here?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna get. Hey, let those drummers have at it. I love them both. Tell Freddie I love him. Blast. I'll see you in a few days.
And
All right,
you can
Stephen.
catch Stephen on tour with Warren DeMartini, Pearcy DeMartini. 10 more shows this year. This is your shot.
Yeehaw!
You want to see
Yeehaw!
it.
Let me show you a new trick. All right.
All
Way
right,
cool.
Stephen, love you. See you later.
Love you guys. Mark, love you, man.
You too, brother.
Blas, welcome. That was longer than I expected Stephen to stay. But he is passionate. He really does enjoy the work you do and preserving this thing. Let's see if we can get Fred to join us. Okay, here we go. We're going to call him right now. Fred is driving, so he's going to appear via the phone.
Hello.
Hey, Fred, how are you?
Dandy, how are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us. Now, I pointed out that you're driving, so it's better just to do this by audio.
Audio, thank you.
Yeah, and we're joined by Mark Weiss and Blas Elias.
I love Blas.
Hey, Fred. How are you?
Yeah,
Sorry, Mark.
and Stephen just left Pearcy, and he said to say hello to you, your former arcade bandmate.
No way, Stephen. No way, that guy. No, I love Stephen. He's great. Oh yeah.
A lot of history. Fred,
My brother, yeah.
We're here to talk a little bit about rock magazines and whether or not rock magazines is an ancient dying thing or if it can come back. Mark has his magazine Rocked and is trying his best. When you were younger, before you were even playing in bands, did you collect rock magazines?
Not only did I collect rock magazines, but if you went to Universal Studios or Disneyland or something, you could stand there and get your photo on the cover of a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
There was, Bass Fisherman or something, but there was one called Hit Parader. And I took a picture and I was on the cover of Hit Parader magazine and that was like, gonna make it one day, going to be on a magazine. And it was that fake Hit Parader thing that they did. And that was that. So I love magazines. I used to read them all. I used to get Hit Parader and Circus, and huge fan of those.
Fred, do you still have that Hit Parader you took when you were a kid?
It's someplace, yeah. So when we moved, we left it at my mom's house, and she had it on her wall until we moved her out. So it is in a box someplace. I do have it. It will be going up on my wall someplace, but I do have it. Yeah, I have to take a picture of it because Mark needs to put that somewhere in his magazine, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And as a member of Cinderella, ultimately you did make Hit Parader magazine.
We did.
Which is what a cool kind of thing that you set out to do as a kid. It was fun, and then you actually ended up on the cover of Hit Parader magazine. I want to talk a little bit before you go about. I don't know what kind of rush you're in, but Night Songs, the album cover Night Songs, which is a photo that was taken by Mark in the streets of Philadelphia. The record's called Night Songs, but the picture was taken during the day. What do you remember about this photo shoot? We're looking at it now.
Oh, I remember doing it. I remember being there. We had no idea what we were doing, and Mark kept saying, no, it's going to look fine. It's going to look like nighttime. And we were like, it's like photograph day for night or something like that. And it's like, and so of course we'd be like, what's wrong with this guy? I don't know. He thinks he can get a day. And it was daytime. And he said, trust me, it's going to look like nighttime. It's going to be eerie and cool. And we're like, okay, we have to trust him. I mean, he's the pro because we've never really done this before. So really, he was the one that taught us how to pose, how to, hey, you're chinning. We were like, what the heck is that? So everything that we learned about photo shoots was from Mark. And he absolutely did it. We really didn't believe he could do it. And we were just like, well, we have to trust him. And by gum, as they say, it's amazing. What a cool cover. And it really looked like nighttime, and it was done in the middle of the day. So I do remember that day. You know, he even helped out with clothes. He was like, "No, you gotta fix that. What's going on with that? And what's going on with this?" And he really helped with a lot of it. Yeah, I mean, he was a big part of that whole look. So if you don't like it, he's the guy to blame.
I think it's one of the most memorable, sort of iconic of that genre, of that time period. You know, I have a print of it from Mark, and I think that when you think about that genre, you call it hair metal, whatever you want to call it, 80s glam, that is a record cover you think about.
Thanks.
You know,
It's
yeah.
cool. You know, it definitely stood out a little bit.
You know, 1985 was really the year of the glam. That's when the hair was at the highest. You know, Dokken, you know, everyone, even Ozzy. You know, everyone had the hair and they had the clothes. You know, for a couple of years, and then everyone kind of glammed down a little bit when Guns came out. So it was a time of the sign of the times. A lot of the bands that I've shot, like, they look at these photographs that I've shot and they kind of blame me for it because they were like, you know, what they're wearing, but it's like they came to the photo shoot. You know, I remember, you know, when I did Dokken Under Lock and Key, they came out with these waiter outfits, pretty much, you know, these circus outfits, it looked like, but, you know, and they looked at them and they didn't know what to do the first time they seen them, you know, at the photo shoot, but they put them on and they were like superheroes. And for that period of time, the kids that were watching, like, were buying those records were 10 years younger. They were like probably like 13, 14, 15. That looked really cool to them. Like they were superheroes. So that really had something to do with the marketing of everything. But, you know, and then everyone grew out of it and became more street, which is what happens, you know, in any genre. Things change.
Mark, you mentioned Guns N' Roses. Fred Coury, you are a Guns N' Roses trivia question, because Fred did play with Guns N' Roses, right, Fred?
That's right. Yeah.
It's in the list of Guns N' Roses drummers, you know. But this is back in the day. Steven Adler broke his hand, right?
That's right.
And how do you get the call to do this?
So I was out. I was in New York visiting my mom. And I was out that night with some friends, and I came back, and on the answering machine was Doug Goldstein, who we met when we were touring with David Lee Roth. He was David's security guy. And he went from that to being a tour manager for Guns N' Roses and ultimately became GNR's manager. But I think he was a tour manager at the time. And we'd always remained friends. You know, you tour with people, you just become friends and they become family. So he called me in the middle of the night and said, I'm going to call you back in 2 hours, learn the song that's on your answering machine. And on my answering machine, it was Welcome to the Jungle, because nobody knew it yet. It was just coming out and they hadn't broken, right? So they had a really hard time breaking on MTV. MTV wouldn't play them for the longest time. So until Sweet Child of Mine came out, then they started playing them. But so I said, okay. And he called me a couple hours later and he said, can you be on a, I think it was 4 a.m. He said, can you be on a 7 a.m. flight for a show tonight? And I said, sure. Mm-hmm. And he said he broke his, you know, you guys will rehearse, but I already knew the songs top to bottom. I knew the entire record. So he said, you'll rehearse at the hotel when you get there. And I said, okay. So I charted it out on the plane. It was a long flight. So I charted it out. And when I got there, they were stuck in a snowstorm. So there was no rehearsal. And I met Axl on the way to stage. Like, he walked right by me and he was like, are you ready? And I said, yeah. So we went up and played. And after the show, kind of got to know everybody. But that's how it happened. Yeah. Call in the middle of the night and I said, let's do it. And we did it. It was great. And I finished the tour, and then we came back and did some headlining shows here. I think their first headlining shows. And then that was it.
Pretty crazy. You had a secondary piece of history. Fred, I've been doing this show for 4 years. People always ask to have you on. They want to know, because you are active in music, but maybe not as public, maybe not as in front of everyone as it was. If you would tell everybody what you've been up to.
So I do music for television. I'm a composer for TV shows. So what that means is, like, a lot of people say, "Ooh, can you get my songs in TV?" That's not what I do. At that point, I say I don't even write songs. What I'm writing is I write emotion with musical instruments. So any of the underscore, any of the if you're feeling like anxiety, or you're really sad, or something's funny, it's usually the music helping it become that. And that's what I do. I've been doing that for a long time now. And I do sonic branding for sports. So what that is on the side. So the main gig is TV. I have a show called The Ark. It's coming back for season 3 on Sci-Fi, and you can stream it on NBC, Peacock. And that's coming back. We'll probably start next year, but right now I'll start working on it next month. And then I do sports branding for teams like the LA Kings. And what that means is I develop a sonic theme for them. So it's a theme that I'll put in game, usually do a goal song for the team. I will do if they have one of those shows like Hard Knocks or something, I'll score that to picture. And any of the commercials, I'll do that sort of thing. So I have the LA Kings, Detroit Tigers, Detroit Red Wings, and the Portland Trailblazers. So I've been doing that for a long time. And entering year 18 with the Kings now, and year 12 with Portland, and year 3 with Tigers.
It's incredibly, obviously you've done well for yourself. When you were a kid playing the drums and touring, and when grunge comes and all these things happen, it didn't hurt you. You went back to work. I'm sure you couldn't have imagined when you were a kid that this would be your future career.
I never thought I would be scoring for TV, but so I'm a violinist since I was 5 years old. That's my main instrument, and heavy training. By the time I was 7, I was already at 3 or 4 hours a day of practice, and then after that, rehearsing many hours. So that was my thing. So during Cinderella, when we were starting to, do less gigs, our first tours were 18 months. Our last tours were 5 months, 4 months. I went back to school for film composition. So I went to UCLA for 3 years for film and TV scoring, because I could make that connection with classical music, because that was my whole background until I was 12. I knew no rock and roll at all. It was all classical. And I did that with hard rock for the sports teams, for the Kings mainly. And then I said, I got to check this out for how to score the picture, like how to tell the story, how to learn that craft. So I went to UCLA for 3 years, and then I did the Berkeley Master program for film scoring. And then I got lucky through the Kings. Somebody was there and had an NBC medical drama, which is the hardest gig to get. And he said, if this goes, I'm going to give it to you, and you're going to do the music. And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. I went, and it turned into a hit show, and it was, talk about trial by fire. He just threw me right there, right to the top, and I had to either die or survive. And then, thank God I survived that one, and that was it. That's how the whole thing. So so to answer your question, did I think it would happen? No, but I was always, because I live in so much fear, I was always fearful that the band would end. Like, I always felt, and I still feel like the luckiest person on the planet. I was like, but this can't last more than that. I just got lucky on this one go around. And it just, it kept, every time the bus would leave, I was the guy sitting on the curb crying, thinking that it would never come back. And it came back year after year after year. And every time just, it built more gratitude and just like, more fear. It's just going to end. But and from that I had to pivot to something else, and then it just happened, and it turned into this, and I'm so grateful that any of it happened in the beginning. But then it all happened because of the band, right? Because it's not my own doing. It's a lot of praying and the band. It's all from. So if that ever happened, if that Tom was like, "Hey, I need you for something," heck yeah, jump right on it.
Well, that's the $1 million question, Fred. People ask all the time, is there any chance that the 3 surviving members of Cinderella could play again?
Well, we all still play our instruments, right? So Tom is out touring. Eric is doing that. He's doing a benefit, Rock for Hope, I believe it's called. He's doing that next week. I'm right now playing on Billy Morrison's record. So we're all pretty active in playing. We have our chops up. So if something had to happen, if it was like, oh my gosh, you guys can save the world, we need to have you play, there's no reason we couldn't.
You're friendly, right? I know I've seen you at Tom's shows.
Oh yeah, I just talked to Eric this afternoon, and I speak to Tom quite often. Yeah, we're brothers. I mean, first of all, I owe everything to those guys, right? Started with Mike Varney, and then from Mike Varney it went to Eric Singer, and from Eric Singer I met the band. It really started with Ozzy to take this all the way back to a magazine, because I got in Ozzy's band and I was with him in London, living at one of his houses, doing pre-production for The Ultimate Sin, and I was in the band long enough that it came out in either Circus or Hit Parader that the new drummer for Ozzy is newcomer Fred Coury from upstate New York. And that's all I needed. So when I auditioned for Cinderella, Tom got on the phone before I sent my tape in and said, "So you're the guy from Ozzy?" And I was like, "That's me." And all I needed was that little bit of time that I was with Ozzy and a magazine, and it changed my life. Thank you, Circus or Hit Parader. But yeah, so that's that. Yeah, so that was that. And I forgot the question because I just totally sidetracked squirrel.
That's all right. The power of magazines. But you made the point that you and the guys all still are active. You all still communicate. And who knows, maybe if there was a reason, a good reason, you're all busy, but maybe the survive and rest in peace to Jeff LeBar, but maybe the 3 of you, who knows, maybe it could happen one day.
Maybe it can. The other day, so I walk every day, in the morning and at night. That's how I unwind, because my job now is 7 days a week, the music thing. So that's the time that nobody's around, the streets are dark, and I just get to walk. And the other day I listened to Heartbreak Station for the first time in 20 years. I haven't listened to it from top to bottom. And I forgot some of the songs. I was like, I don't even remember this song. And it was so refreshing to go, oh my gosh, I've completely forgotten about this. And I loved it. It was so cool. And that's when I called Eric yesterday. I spoke to him again today for something else, but I called him yesterday. I was like, dude, when's the last time you listened to one of our records? Top to bottom, I don't know. I was like, it was amazing. It just, all the memories started flooding back. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I feel like I'm a very lucky person.
Yeah, well, and you have a good attitude about it. But anyway, I mean, I know the fans would love to see it. I don't know if Blas, do you have a question for Fred or Mark?
I just want to say congrats on your success. My son, I went down to college today, UNLV, because he's getting ready to register for college, and that's one of the paths that he's kind of considered as doing music for film and stuff. So you're an inspiration to me, and so my son's a musician and he's a composer, and so it's inspiring to see that you did so well doing that. So congrats on that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I'm like so proud of Fred, because I met him when he was so young, and he was just getting his feet wet. And I always look at him just still as that teenager, and he still looks like a teenager to me. It's like, it's something about even Blas and everyone, like, we have that, the rock and roll bands from the 80s, or if you're involved in that era, it's like it keeps you young. And I know we all feel it inside. I do, and I'm sure Fred and Blas does, and Jason. But I feel like, I mean, I don't know. I think we all look pretty cool too. You know, I think we're all like, you know, stepping it up, and that's great about the 80s rock. You know, you look at 90s bands and the fans that you know listen to those bands. But I think something about the 80s is something special, and a lot of the musicians from the 80s, like Fred and Blas, because you know Blas has done a million things since then too. The Blue Man Group and TSO that I work with them every year. It's just amazing that these talented musicians from the 80s, from the hair bands or whatever you want to call them, you know, it's got these great songs that they wrote that are just like gonna last the test of time. And for me to be part of them, you know, I'm just a photographer that just clicks pictures. I mean, I don't have that kind of talent. I mean, these guys have pure talent. I mean, for these guys to write songs and to tour around and make people happy, like that's pretty amazing. And for me to be part of it, I feel blessed because, you know, it's fun. Every time I'm around these guys, anytime I'm at a rock show, it just takes me back. And it's like nothing's really changed. So thanks, Fred, for, you know, giving me the time to take your picture. And like he just reached out to me earlier. He goes, remember this picture you took of me and Ozzy in '85? And, you know, do you have any more pictures? And it's like, I'll dig in for it. You know, I want to find those memories to put a smile on his face, you know? So I feel like I have my place to make him happy. Like they made me happy.
Thank you. That's amazing.
It's a testament, Mark, to your work and trying to preserve this thing that we all love so much, the music, the magazines, the photos, and for, you know, Stephen and Fred and Blas, and we'll see who else joins us, but all to be here to talk about it because Rock Magazine, Mark is trying to bring it back and preserve this history that maybe younger people haven't seen. I will say that, you know, you guys all know fans are getting younger every day. Their kids are coming to these shows and loving Slaughter and Cinderella and Ratt.
They really are. I mean, if you go see a show someplace, it's the grandparents are bringing the kids. The kids are now adults with their own kids, and they're bringing their kids. And I mean, when's the last time you went to a Kiss show?
Mm-hmm.
They're like 3-year-olds. It's amazing. They have little babies that are all dressed up like Ace Frehley. It's insane. It's the fan. A lot of kids are, and kids, I'm talking now, teenagers, they're listening to this kind of music, which is really cool because you see, so there's a show I played on called Peacemaker. It's a John Cena show on HBO. And it's pretty cool. It's a superhero thing. It's very violent. It's very funny. But all the music is fully 80s leaning, right? And his fan base are young. And it's all of that. And I think, I don't know, this is the first year that rock has outsold country for touring shows, right? So, and for streaming. So, is your timing perfect, Mark? I think it might be.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I didn't know that.
Fred, I really appreciate you spending some time with us, and then maybe you'll come back for a long-form interview sometime. I know a lot of people would love to hear from you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for caring enough to having me on.
Thank you, Fred.
See you, Fred. Thank you.
Good to hear your voice, Fred.
Hi, Mark. Thank you.
All right, Fred Coury. That was nice of him to come on because, as I was saying, he's not necessarily, in the public eye right now. So anyway, let me do some shopkeeping because we've been gone and we kind of, Mark, we want to raise some money and we want to keep this magazine going. And the way we're doing that is not by asking people to give handouts, but to buy some cool stuff. And that's in the Kickstarter link that's in the description. But we'll get to that in 1 second because all these nice people, this is Marcus, epic panel tonight, epic surprise panel tonight. I don't think anyone knew what was happening. Trey, thank you so much. Saw Slaughter open for Kiss on the Hot in the Shade tour in Charleston, West Virginia. A great show. up all night, shook the arena. I talk about, and Mark, you might have been there too. I saw that tour at Madison Square Garden. It was Eric Carr's final show with Kiss. And Blas and I have talked about it when we were in New York. Me and Blas were walking by Madison Square Garden, and I remembered, being a kid and how cool it was to see them play the Garden. This is Trey again. Rock mags were cool back in the days. True rock stars. Do you believe Kiss will tour again? I'm hoping so. I don't think Kiss will tour again, but I think you'll continue to see cruises on the land or cruises on the sea. I don't think the Kiss brand is ever going to go anywhere. Sean Brown, thank you, Sean. Very generous, and thank you for the support. Hello, everyone. A few years ago, I bought a limited edition book called Monsters of Rock. The book highlights the annual rock festival held at Donington Park, UK. Many of Mark's photos are in the book. Does Mark have any interesting memories from the legendary festival? That's a good question.
I think that was probably when Ozzy headlined, maybe 1986. And memories, that's why I take photos. I don't remember anything. So it's like I use the photographs to try to bring back my memories. So if I had those pictures in front of me, I'd probably be able to tell you some stories.
There was the one year you had Guns N' Roses very early, Kiss, I think Maiden. I think that was 87. I think that's what maybe.
Yeah, that's 87. But 86 was, I think 86 was Ozzy, which is what she's referring to. But
Gotcha.
Yeah, memories. Unless it was a specific photo shoot that, where, Ozzy was dressed up in a pink tutu or in the bathtub or shaved his head or something like that. It's like, those are the things I truly remember. But just like the bands, like every show is like, there's so many shows we do and there's so many shows I photograph. But I do remember, I think Motorhead opened up for that. And I remember this big tire that was in the audience that was like in the background. I don't know what it was, an endorsement or something like that. That's actually my one memory I have of that show, when I was on stage shooting out and Lemmy was there and there was this big tire endorsement out there, this huge tire.
Okay, I'm just looking at some photos, trying to show some classic photos. But look, you're gonna get the magazine. You're gonna have all the classic photos.
Well, here's a classic photo. You ready for this? This is in the first issue. Well, the way rock came about was when I was kind of doing a signing of my book, The Decade That Rocked, on the Monsters of Rock cruise. So what I did was we made magazines because they were so light and the books were so heavy. So we made these magazines, and we did a pinup book. And this is Slaughter right here.
Yep. God, I remember. Yeah, I'm trying to remember where that was.
Well, that was, and I know Dana told me when it was. That was the first show with Kiss in 1990.
Oh, Lubbock, Texas. Yeah.
Right. And they were doing a video shoot.
And yeah, I mean, it's funny because I can usually tell, because there was a few iconic photographers. There's Lozauer and Gene Kirkland, and you can usually tell stylistically, you all had your own thing, and so you can usually tell, like, we liked yours because you gave us a bit of a harder edge, and some of the ones like Anna Maria DeSanto's pictures were more like kind of teen girl oriented, so that was the metal edge pictures, but yours were like the circus and the Rip magazine stuff, that was harder. So we wanted to be taken a little more seriously, so we liked your pictures.
Blas and I travel with Pearcy DeMartini, Stephen Pearcy, and a lot of times we talk, and fans bring over these pinups to be autographed, which is a kind of cool thing that people are collecting them and they bring back memories to them. And so I ask Blas sometimes, do you remember this photo or that photo? And there was one photo of Slaughter where they all sort of have these pouty faces. And I said, did you guys all plan that? And Blas, tell me what happened with photo shoots, because I guess you smile too much.
Well, I mean, when I first joined the band, I didn't have any experience. Mark and Dana had already done a whole round with Vinnie Vincent's Invasion, so they knew all the photographers. They were experienced. But every photo we took, like I would have my eyes shut. I'd ruin the whole photo shoot because I have a great picture. My eyes are closed. We didn't have Photoshop, so I had to take lessons basically on how to take pictures and learn how to pose and be a rock guy and all that. So it took me a little while to get into the groove.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he needed to, like, all he had to do was stand there and just, like, as long as his eyes were open, he was looking cool. He had the hair, he had the look, he was an easy one to shoot.
You couldn't you couldn't pick up a magazine like Metal Edge and not see these pictures. One of my memories of Slaughter was that you knew you were going to see a shirtless Blas Elias photo in each magazine. Young girls, and maybe older people too. Women were excited, maybe even fellas. But there's this card set that we opened up, and we had the guys from Slaughter. There's a new video coming where we all opened the 1991 Metal Mania cards, and it felt like every pack had a similar picture, Blas, of you. I think you might have been the best-selling card. I have some of those here. Hold on, let's see. I got so much stuff going on. Some of these, and Mark probably shot some of these.
I'm sure he did. I mean, that was. I mean, the magazines and the pictures was a huge part of that generation of music. I mean, it was we still like today, like you're talking about. We see the kids that come up to us in the concert, and they're young and they dress like the pictures in those magazines. It's a whole new generation of people that are discovering that style, that generation, and it's kind of a drag that we don't have that now, but that was for sure a big part of it. Wasn't just the music, it was the image, and guys like Mark, and his contemporaries are the ones that brought that to the people. We did the music, they brought the image,
I was showing your kids, Blas, pictures of when I was their age and I met you for the first time, Electric Ladyland in New York, Jimi Hendrix studio. And I said, boy, your father never ages. They disagreed. They feel like you've aged a little bit. But it's so funny to share those memories to your kids, your dad. But to the people at these rock shows, they're so excited to see you. And a lot of people learned about this from these rock magazines, which is what Mark is really trying to preserve.
Yeah.
And let's take a look. Blas, you got a minute? You got to get out of here.
I'm cool. Yeah, I was just thinking about when Fred was on. Like I just graduated high school. I think that when that record came out, me and my friends saw Cinderella at Cardi's in Houston, and we saw the picture that of that album cover, and that was just it was mysterious. It was cool, because you could kind of take control of what your image was. Your whole life wasn't on display like it is now. So the image was really cool, and that was one of the things that kind of drew me towards wanting to do this. And the magazines, like all the kids in my school had the magazines, and it was a dream to I had the dream to be in those magazines someday and have my pictures alongside these other guys. And it's funny because a lot of the people I work with now, like Stephen Pearcy and people I meet, like we just did shows with Bret Michaels, and the people that I kind of work with now are the people that I really was, a fan of and looking at in those same magazines, so it's cool for me to like kind of go from, being a fan to being like kind of friends with some of these people.
I remember a kid at school having a Circus magazine with a topless Vince Neil picture, and I thought for sure this was the hottest chick I'd ever seen. I felt like I felt like it was the secret. I couldn't tell anyone that I saw this topless chick, and boy, was I foiled again. By the way, Mark, is there any chance that we could get one of Blas's Rockstar movie co-stars? How is that looking?
Say it again.
We were going to try to get somebody to make an appearance who was in the movie Rockstar, as was Blas. Have you heard from him?
Oh, right. I just texted.
Jeff Soto, maybe?
No.
Zakk Wylde.
Well, you have to wait. We'll have to wait and see. This has really been, we really wanted to help Mark do this because the magazine is so cool. And I know the younger people want it. They're on eBay buying the old magazines. So
Jeff Pilson was in that movie.
He was, yeah.
You might have already said the name. We have to wait and see. And good things come to those who wait.
So let's talk about Rocked.
Let's talk about Rocked.
This is the third issue. We have two issues. We have the third issue with David Lee Roth on the cover, and on the back cover, it's kind of going to be a dual cover. It's going to be when I photographed him at M3 a few months ago. So the theme of Rocked is where past is present. So we're going to have photographs that I shot from the past up until the centerfold of all the bands. So like in the Roth issue, it's going to have Lita Ford and Ratt and a couple other bands. We're not sure. We started laying it out. Here's some of the layouts. I'll show you. Well, we showed the Ratt. This is the Ratt, and this is an interview that Adrian Stone did from Hit Parader. So we're, I feel it's interesting to see where their mindset was back in the day. And so that was an interview they did. Stephen did right before he went on tour. And then I started doing my kind of memories of my Van Halen. So these are all my words about me meeting Van Halen for the first time, when I kind of like got my first assignment for Circus Magazine and did a centerfold, and kind of went backstage and kind of snuck in and shot this first photo of Eddie back in Convention Hall. And then a year later, I'm working for him, and I'm, here's a letter that I got that's telling me like they want me on the road and this is what I should do. And so I kind of put, it's kind of like a little bit of my narrative on how I get my relationship with the band. And then the next tour, and here I am, I have my laminates, some more photos, some more stories. And yeah, so we have fun facts. And then 84.
This is what I like, Mark. I like that in the back of the magazine, there's all these fun games and puzzles and trivia. I think this reminds me of the old magazines. And this is what makes it more than, it's not just the pinups. I mean, you got great pictures and great stories. And you've been talking about opening up to other editorial people as well. It's not just the world according to Mark Weiss. It's an entire scene with different contributors, right?
Well, the idea is like right now, these are all my photographs in the flagship magazine, but online, Mikkel, who's my partner, Mikkel Pelicone, and designed every page of this, also designed the website. And where we want to go with this after we meet the funds is to develop the website to make it a little more interactive with other photographers and journalists around the world, so they can have their own page and their own showcase for their photographs and their writing. So, I'll help them get photo passes and get writers get in there so they can maybe interview some artists. And they could be new artists too. I want it just to be about rock. For me, the reason why everything is 80s, because that's what I'm about. But I want to inspire photographers and writers that are, younger and, have their own bands that they follow or they discovered, and give them a page on the website, and we'll call it their rock scene, and have a place where they can bring people in and just kind of grow a base where it can just grow and become its own little thing. So that's kind of my mission here.
All right, Mark, we need cash, Mark. Okay, Blas, what were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say, speaking of, you're talking about giving young photographers inspiration. How did you get into this business? What was your pathway to becoming one of the prominent rock photographers?
Well, for me, it was just sneaking into concerts, 16, 17 years old, got arrested when I was at a Kiss show, selling my pictures in front of the Madison Square Garden. Went to Circus Magazine the next day. I looked it up, I was like, all right, where's the office? Oh, it's in New York City. All right, I'll hop back on the train. I brought my portfolio. Just good timing, good relationship. They told me what to do. I came back 6 months later, ended up getting a centerfold of Steven Tyler in the magazine. And then a year later, I'm doing I'm their staff photographer. So it's just finding yourself and giving opportunities. So what I'm doing, which they didn't do, no one did for me, is I'm creating an opportunity for anyone that has a passion like I did, that's looking for a break. But it's not really, you gotta pay your dues. You can't just think that you're gonna be in a magazine or you're gonna get a photo pass, you have to actually like, work for it. Like I did. I worked 2 years selling my pictures in front of the concerts. I didn't know it was going to lead to, all I knew is like, I kept just dreamt about photographers in the photo pit at Madison Square Garden, thinking like, wow, how cool would that be if I could do that? And a few years later, I'm doing that. And and to top it off with Kiss, like after getting arrested, like 7 years later, I'm actually working for them, and they're coming to my studio in New York City, 2 blocks from where I got arrested. When they first took off their makeup, I was one of the first photographers that shot them, and then I became fast friends with them and getting them in the magazines and became their photographer still to this day. I shot the last 2 shows at the Garden. So it's all about, meeting people, hanging out, having fun. And, I guess you could say working hard, but I never looked at it as working hard. Just like as musicians, you don't look at it as working hard. You just look at it as, doing what you love to do. So all I can do is inspire and kind of guide. And, I'm 66 right now. So in 10 years, I'm still shooting in the bands I want to shoot. But, in 10 years and 15 years, like I wouldn't mind just sitting back and just like watching photographers grow and becoming into their own.
And you preserved your own legacy. Blas, do you know about the Slippery When Wet cover? Do you know how Mark got that photo?
I remember he told me the story on tour a couple of years ago, but remind me again.
It's a good one, Mark. Please tell us about the Slippery When Wet cover.
No, that's like a novel, but okay.
Give us the Cliff's Notes.
All right. Well, it started out being Wanted Dead or Alive. I shot all of them like in beards and with Billy the Kid kind of vibe with the hats and everything. Like they were in a wanted poster. That was the thing. Wanted poster. Went to Vancouver. We found a warehouse, or I found a warehouse, abandoned warehouse where we put the posters up in the background. Had the band look really cool in the beginning, in the front of it, and that was supposed to be the cover until they switched the name to Slippery When Wet. They thought the beards and everything was a little too much, and the title was like not like girl friendly or what have you. So then they slipped the Slippery When Wet from inspired by the strip clubs where they had the girls in the plexiglass, and so that was the next cover when we grabbed Angela and. This is the girl in the cover. And then the PMRC was happening in 1985 when Dee Snider was sticking up for the Fifth Amendment and the freedom of speech. I was there with Dee actually. And then they switched it to, they had to come up with something different. So the next version was this girl holding a bar of soap, and they thought that was sexy or something, like holding a bar of soap that says Slippery When Wet. And that never made it. And I was hoping to God that wouldn't make it. And then we ended up, then John just came up to my studio in New York and just said, get a black hefty bag. And I sprayed some water drops on it, and he just wrote Slippery When Wet. And they just said, turn that in, and that's the cover.
Do you still have that hefty bag?
Oh yeah, I kept everything.
All right, that's cool.
Your archives are amazing, including the Twisted Sister, Come Out and Play, Manhole. I mean, at some point, Mark, you got to have a gallery again. I know you had one during the Motley residency here, and people were able to sort of see some of that and see that actual Manhole. It'd be cool to see it again. But before you can do a gallery and do all those things, we need some dough. And the way to, because no magazine's going to make itself, and you're not going to be able to go to this massive office. This is a labor of love between you and Mikal. Putting this together, and you're trying to get the fans involved. So here's the danger of a Kickstarter. First of all, I want to explain that a Kickstarter is not a donation. They might say donate, but you're buying something. You're either pre-ordering a magazine, or if you go through this link, and we'll put the link up on the screen, if you go through this link, you're going to see you could buy cool stuff. I have a lot of Mark's art photos in my collection, prints, and there's some really cool stuff. Imagining owning an original print from the Night Songs cover, or Slippery When Wet signed by Mark. You can get those with the links on the screen while supporting the continuation of magazines, rock magazines. So right now we're at 9,075. Now here's the danger. If you don't get to 15,000, you get nothing. This is like it's like an extreme game show. It's you made it this far.
I know.
More than halfway. My math isn't
Is there a
great.
time limit?
Yeah, we have 5 more days. You know, the thing is, you know, I was really like, because the 4th issue is like, it's right here. I kind of like, Mikkel designed the cover. I said, look, I'm going to shoot Ozzy's The Final Bow in Birmingham. I said, can you make a mock cover so I can get the bands to like pose with it? So she made this mock cover, right? And we have like, you know, James Hetfield, and we have, we put Dimebag on there, Anthrax, Slayer, Axl, and Zakk, of course, you know. So I kind of had this with me at the rehearsals, and I had bands holding it and whatnot. And I even had Ozzy like a week before, sadly, he passed, holding it, giving me the I didn't take the picture, but giving the finger, holding the magazine. But sadly, after he passed, it's like, you know, I was going to just start my promotion on this. This was 2 weeks ago, and I just had to like stop everything. So for like 2 weeks, up until really today or a couple of days ago, I didn't feel like I just didn't feel right promoting it. So I kind of like stopped, but now I'm starting again. I know Ozzy would want it if I made this a reality, and I'm starting to, you know, do it. So actually on this one, it's going to be these bands, and on the back cover, it's going to be photos from the show of the same bands, and then it's going to lead to that. So it's kind of like going to be a special issue for me. Yeah, so I'm just and if you go on the Kickstarter campaign, you go to, you know, markweiss.com, you can click the button. But if you go there, you know, it's pretty much like a pre-order of a magazine, or my gallery prints, where they're at a fraction what I charge on the websites that sell my photographs. And there's T-shirts, and there's bundles, and there's all sorts of things. So
there's tons of options. I'm showing just some of them. You want to get a magazine. You want to get a magazine and a T-shirt. You want to get a postcard set. There's all kinds of bundles. You can go on and look and see what it is you want. The Decade That Rocked. This is the book that everybody must have on their coffee table. It's on mine. Get it, and then it comes with a signed print. And as Mark was saying, that these are much more affordable than it would have been if you went to one of these galleries, where these are collectible prints. And some amazing shots. We're looking at some of them here. All you got to do is purchase a print. Mark signs it for you. They're limited. There's only so many of each one. Some of these have sold out already. If you like Ozzy, here's an Ozzy bundle, which will come with all types of different things. Van Halen bundle. Do you have a Slaughter bundle, Mark? Can we make one?
I'll make one for anyone who wants a Slaughter bundle. I'll make them a bundle.
Mm-hmm. That famous photo of Guns N' Roses outside of CBGB's. I grew up in New York City as a kid. I've seen it a million times. This Motley Crue. Some of my favorite photos of yours, Mark, are these Motley Crue shots, these tuxedo shots, these kind of old mobster shots. Just incredible lighting, and the photos tell such a story. So anyway, there's a lot to look at. And what I want to see now is people support, because if you're a collector like I am, and you surround yourself with all these cool things, this is your chance to get some, and keep the magazines going. There's not any left. Mark or Blas, do either of you guys know of any rock magazines that are still around? Besides Rolling Stone?
I've seen, no. And I mean, I don't know about new generations if they've been doing that. I think most of the things are just online now. As far as anything in print, not that I'm aware of.
I mean, there's just something about like holding it and like, you know, it's like having a book, but it's just a little something to talk about. You know, you can't go on your phone and pass your phone around and say, check this photo out. So these photographs are like, it's just something special about them, because I had to pick out of hundreds and thousands of photographs of which photographs to put in the magazine. So, you know, I really am taking my time to make sure it's special. It's a collector's edition, you know. So it's
Mark, do you ship outside the U.S.?
We do, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So take a look at that link, and you can get that. Let's see here. Yeah, the UK is sort of still sort of get physical media. But here in the States, it's definitely not what it was. And, you know, Rolling Stone, there's nothing in Rolling. I mean, for me, there was never anything Rolling Stone I really wanted to see. This is what you want. You want to have this tribute. I think there's going to be more young people buying this. That's my hunch.
Right.
Young people are still hanging. They've still got the Blas Elias pinups on their wall. And so people want to relive that kind of fun thing. I remember dating in, you know, the late 80s, early 90s. And you go to someone's house and you would see the photos that they had on their walls of all these guys. I can't tell you how many girls I slept with and had Blas Elias peering out on the wall. Maybe not. Anyway, look, we got to get, we need young people to have that same experience. And so this is a really cool offer and a really cool chance to do it. You know, we came here to talk about it. I don't think we'll ever see rock magazines in the newsstands. I thought maybe K-pop or something else, they might be into it. But as far as our bands, our generation, right, this is the way to do it. And this, by the way, is so great because this was the cruise edition. You could get one of these if you go on the Monsters of Rock cruise, you can get one of these and you can get it signed by all your favorite people. It's almost like a yearbook. Don't you think, Blas?
Yeah, I mean, and you better get them soon before they're all gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's here's Dana kidnapping Mark Slaughter with tape. But no, you're right. I mean, it's sad, but people are passing. We're losing a lot of our legends.
No, it's nice to have a physical product. You know, I think part of the whole, like with vinyl, even part of the thing that was cool about it is you had a thing to look at. And I don't even think, like, you know, with a lot of people may not even listen to the vinyl. Like, you know, I buy vinyl. I don't even have a record player. You know, just
me too.
You want the collectible. You know, you want to have something to feel and see. And so, yeah, I think it's really cool, you know, for new generations also, and people that live those times, you know, and remember those magazines and those pictures to be able to have something like that.
I think you can ship magazines media. Someone's asking. People talking about Circus and Hit Parader. I found my guitar teacher in Circus magazine. Nick Bocott of Grim Reaper wrote the guitar column in the back of the magazine. And I said, I want someone to teach me who's got a reputation. So I went and I hunted him down. And I was his first student ever because I saw it in the magazine. I mean, that was what we knew. It was in the magazine. If it's good enough for Circus, it's good enough for me. Mark, is Mikhail going to join us?
Yeah, because I was just, you know, you were mentioning about this rock your brain, you know, this whole little thing here. Well, this is Mikhail's brainstorm here.
Mikhail, Blas Mikhail. I don't know if you guys have met before.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
So Mikhail's the creative designer and art director for Ratt, and this would not be here if it was not for her. You know.
Mikhail, let's test Blas Elias with some of these. Finish the lyrics if you don't mind. All right, Blas, you ready?
All right.
They're not too hard. All right, let's start with an easy one. This is Ratt. Out on the streets, that's where we'll meet. You make the night. I'll always cross the line. Round and round, what comes around, blank.
Goes around, I'll tell you why.
Correct. Correct, Blas. Let's try.
Come on, give me a hard one.
All right. Skid Row. Ricky was a young boy. He had a heart of stone. He had a heart of stone, lived blank.
9 to 5, and he worked his fingers to the bone.
I think that's correct. She doesn't have the answers. Yeah, the judges are saying. The judges say, all right, now a tough one. Queensryche. All right, this is a tough one. If you open your mind for me, you won't rely on open eyes to see. Hush now, don't you cry. Wipe away the blank from your eye. I mean, it's got to be one thing.
Sleep?
Got to be tear, right, Mikhail?
Say, where's the answer?
I don't even remember.
You got to put the answers upside down. Somebody Google it.
Tears seems too obvious. I don't know.
The answers in here?
It's
I
got to
don't
be.
think we put the answers there.
Oh, we didn't even put the answers in here. You have to write it. You have to write it.
Wonder.
You have to write it to the magazine, and then we'll tell you.
Someone is saying in the comments that it's teardrop.
Teardrop. That's right. Yeah.
All right. And what the hell? One more. There's 5 in here. You should still buy the magazine, but all right. Love song, Tesla. So you think that it's over, that your love has finally reached the end. Love will find a way. Just give it blank.
Time.
Yes, Blas. That I gotta be. That time I thought we were on like the old match game, and you were gonna say something ridiculous.
It seems like it's a trick question.
This is but it's fun, and she's got a thing called Suraku instead of Sudoku. Suraku.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Mikhail, tell me about your contributions, which I know are heavy to this, and tell me about the magazine.
Okay, so I actually grew up in a different country, and I actually didn't know any of these bands, but I did have those centerfolds on my wall. I grew up, I was a dancer, and so I listened to music from all different genres, from classical music to Broadway to rock and roll to and when I met Mark and got introduced to all these bands, I didn't even listen to them growing up. I kind of was listening to music to relax, and I always thought that heavy metal is very heavy and not very relaxing. But I was very surprised to learn that I love so many of the songs, and it's not so heavy and enjoyable. So I learned to appreciate it. And when I looked at these images, they just inspire me. So I have no plans before I start designing this magazine. I just look at the picture and the text, and it just like takes me on a ride. And I never know where and when it will end up. The first magazine, he rushed me, and I had to produce it in 3 days. And then this magazine, I had a week. So that was a really challenging thing. That's why you don't have the answers there on the
This is actually the second magazine.
Yeah, so, right. This was
This
just
is the mock-up.
the
This is the
mock-up.
mock-up.
Yeah, so it's actually the same magazine as the other one, just with a different cover. But
if you guys don't support this magazine, Mark and Mikhail will be living in a park surrounded by magazines. They'll have to build a home because they've put all their labor of love into this for you, the fans. And that's why. And by the way, I see people are pledging. I'm seeing it. I hate the terms pledge and donate. They're ordering. People are ordering. I see it now. Sign up for a Kickstarter account. It's very easy. And if it doesn't go through, no one gets anything, and rock and roll's dead. That's it. You'll have to listen to K-pop and hip hop, anything with an op at the end, and you don't want that. You want your rock and roll. Mark Weiss has been fighting for you for years. Blas Elias has been fighting for your right to stay up all night and sleep all day. Yet he doesn't age for some reason.
And there are so many images that nobody ever seen before. So.
And it's Kickstarter. It's a click away, but yeah, you have to sign up. But just do the effort to go through with it. It's not that difficult. It's just like getting something on Amazon. And like you said, we're not asking for a donation. It's a pledge, but it's like a pre-order, just so we can have funds, because we self-finance the first 2 issues where we barely broke even, and we just need to raise funds for production and printing costs.
I have the Night Songs print. Michelle has the Poison print. You guys can go online and purchase those right now while supporting a magazine. That would be a cool thing that maybe we didn't think. For those of us who had them, we get to sort of reminisce again. And for those of us who were too young and didn't get that experience, and now you get this physical media. Blas, like you said, I like records even if I don't have a record player. There's something about holding an album and looking at liner notes and seeing who was thanked and those type of things. It meant something, and that's what we're doing our best to keep it alive. So I'm hoping that everybody at the sound of my voice we'll sign up. Let's take a look. What's your favorite of these packages that are available, Mikhail?
I would say the one, the Ozzy bundle is pretty cool. Oh, he's actually going to show you.
He's got it there. Okay.
Yeah, we created the binder that you can actually collect the magazine in it, so you can store them in it, and it's pretty cool. I'm going to try to look for it.
That seems to be the popular one. There's only 4 of 10 left right now. So I think Mark is going to show us one. Do you have one?
Yeah, we had it on display, and we're looking for it. It's pretty much, it's like a collector's box, so you can put the 4 magazines in it, and you can put the 8.5 by 11 gallery prints. So we have a Motley bundle. We have 4 photos of Motley. We have the Guns N' Roses bundle. We have Metallica bundle, and here we go.
I found it.
All right, look at this.
So it's like, it's a nice little collector's box here. That's actually me when I used to work at the Haunted Mansion, scaring people with my Aerosmith shirt and my first camera. I was 17 there, and it's my collector's box, and it's rocked. And what you get in it is the 4 magazines. And this is like the super duper bundle where you get like 20 of my 8.5 by 11 photographs. So you get Slash, you get Motley, you get Van Halen, all these kind of come in it,
The retail value of all those photos alone. If you wanted to break that up and sell it, hold on. We've got a very special guest, Mark. We got to stop hawking. This is a true legend and somebody that has inspired me and Blas. He co-started a movie with Blas, and he performed at your wedding. So anyway, I don't even know how to introduce the great Zakk Wylde.
No, why?
Zakk, thank you for being here.
What is shaking over there?
Zakk, we're discussing magazines and rock magazines, and we all grew up with them, but it's become this dying thing, and Mark is trying to keep it alive.
Yes. It's totally. Obviously, it just, with the magazine thing, it's kind of weird in regard that, everybody's either reading the stuff on their phone now. You know what I mean? So, as opposed to like print stuff,
It meant something when we held a magazine. Looking on your phone is definitely not the same.
No, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Us all growing up between, rock scene, circus, Cream, Hit Parader. It was awesome.
Zakk, do you remember your first big photo shoot for a magazine?
Yeah, it was with Father Mark over there, with the boss. Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. And do you remember Mark's wedding? That's my favorite. The pictures of you guys.
That was another classic over there. Yeah, with Sebastian and Kevin DeBro and everything. Oh, it was hilarious, man.
When I lived in New York City, people would, I think you lived in Jersey then, and at the time people would talk about seeing Zakk at the Cat Club. It was like a sighting. Everybody was a fan, and your legacy between Ozzy and Black Label Society, and of course now Pantera continuing that legacy as well. You've brought people a lot of entertainment.
Oh, that's definitely having a blast, man. Doing what I love. Without a doubt, truly blessed, man. But Mark was Father Mark over there, and Dave Feld were the ones that, I always tell them they're the ones that made the dream a reality, for sure.
Yeah, it's now, are there photos of Zakk in that bundle, Mark?
Well, not in the bundle, but he is on the cover of this issue that he's on the. That's a photo we shot back in '89. Because part of this issue is all the bands that played at the Birmingham show. I featured back in the classic days. Yeah. And so we have Axl, we have James, we have Anthrax. I put Dimebag in there too, of course. Respect.
Totally.
Joey, and then on the back cover on this issue, this is only a mock cover. Like we didn't make the issue yet. We're waiting for the funds to come in. And on the back cover is going to be a photograph of Ozzy on his last performance, and also the bands that are on the cover. So it's kind of like we're going to like kind of sandwich it into the centerfold. So the first half of the magazine is going to be classic photographs of all the bands that performed at the show. And then I'll use the new photos that I just shot. And that's the theme of the magazine, where past is present. So we're kind of trying to, blending in both. So that's what we're doing with this. So it's going to be a special issue. And especially.
And our condolences, Zakk. We talk about that last show. Ozzy really went out his way. It sounds like a cliche, but it's not at all. You guys really put on some amazing performance. Everybody sounded incredible. And as sad as it is to lose Ozzy, boy, did he go out on top.
Yeah, I mean, it was so crazy because when we went back to the house, just obviously we went home, and then Barb called me up that Oz passed away. Like, I didn't think, whenever any of this stuff would always come up with us, just because Oz was just so tough and resilient, no matter I mean. It would just be, it's just another bump in the road or another hurdle. We'll get through it. You know what I mean? So it was just always that. So I just always, you just always, not that you take anything for granted ever, but you just I guess, with it'd be like Ozzy being Evel Knievel. It's like, he survives, he makes a jump, or even if he gets into an accident, we get him to the hospital, he'll be fine. You know what I mean? And then, he gets out and he's all right. And then we'll do another jump. You know what I mean? So you never think is it the end. You're just like, Oz will be fine. You know what I mean? Then we'll either do another record or whatever, until Oz gets better. So, yeah, but I mean, truly, it was just like he willed himself to hang in there long enough to knock that show out. Cause I was just saying, what happens if the show was this month? He doesn't make it. You know what I mean? That's what's crazy about the whole thing. So, yeah, truly. Yeah, and I mean, you just always had that sense that he's going to be around forever. You know what I mean? So just kind of like Keith Richards and Mick Jagger and all the guys,
Yeah, it's one of those things. I agree with you. When I didn't know him personally, Blas toured with him, and obviously Mark photographed him. But you always thought Ozzy would be there, as we thought Lemmy would be there. And unfortunately, time sometimes catches up. But Ozzy lived more in his life than most people could imagine. You were probably planning on more work. He wanted to make music still.
Yeah, I mean, until obviously until he get his health back. I mean, it was just like, just keep plugging away, man. I mean, what's the sense? And either you quit or you keep conquering, and climbing, So I mean, it's just like, and he never had any quit in him. So yeah, it was just like, all right, well then, in the meantime, until you can get better, we'll write and make records or whatever you want to do, man. So it just, yeah. I mean, that's what I just, just figured. It was like, just, I'll see Oz on Tuesday. You know what I mean? So we'll start working again or whatever.
Yeah, it's again, amazing show, and it's going to come out as a movie. So for people who didn't see it streaming, you'll still get that chance, and we'll show we show some pictures. Zakk, I got to ask you the $1 million question that most people would be scared to ask you, which is your look has changed so drastically. You from the early days to the Black Label days. Did you just make a decision that goes, you know what, I'm going to look the way I want, and I feel more comfortable like this?
Well, no, I usually keep changing the look up, because me and Barb have been married forever. She used to work for Mark back when I first started with Ozzy, because people ask, well, what's the secret to your marriage? I go, so she just feels like she's sleeping with another new guy all the time. So that's what it is. That's why I keep mixing it up all the time. The beard is actually, this is all glued on. Sometimes I take it off, then I put it back on, I take it off, so just to keep things interesting, man.
I remember we were filming the Rockstar, and they made you put on they made you shave and do the blonde hair. And I remember you weren't real happy about that. going back to that, right?
No, I mean, actually, when we were doing the movie, because they were asking me, they were like, Zakk, do you mind if we layer your hair or whatever? I was like,
Because they
I
want
already went
bangs
through
on
that.
you or
I
something.
went through that the first time around. I
Mhm.
go, you're making wigs for everybody else. Just make it look like I have layered hair. So we'd have to do that every morning. And then, I'd shave every morning. But I mean, it was just like at the end of that movie, they had me wearing a beard. And I remember, so I could actually test drive it. So it was basically like a beard what I have now. So I mean, it was just like I remember putting it on every day, and I was like, what? I think when I get done with this thing, I'm just gonna let it go. I'm gonna grow one, because I could see what I looked like with what it's gonna look like. So I was just like, what? I'm just gonna quit shaving for a while. And so I pretty much had. It's funny because our younger kids, our two oldest, always knew me before the beard. And our son Hendrix, he's 23 now. He's only known me with the beard, and Sabbath has only known me with the beard, which is kind of funny. So,
The beard
uh,
started after the movie. Is that when it started?
yeah, like when we got done with the movie, it was like when I pretty much started going for, just letting it, just not shaving.
Did you guys meet each other when you were making the movie? Blas was in the tribute band and you were in the actual band.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
I was.
but I think no, I mean, everybody that worked on that movie, we pretty much all knew each other before we started
Yeah,
before we
because
started doing the movie. You know what I mean? Which was,
we
I
toured
mean, was
together
great.
on the No More Tours. We did which was supposed to be
Yeah,
at that
totally.
time was going to be Ozzy's last tour. So that
Yeah.
was a cool experience.
I mean, when you think about it now, Blas, it was just like
Yeah.
Oz was 40. I mean, I'm 58 now. So I mean, Ozzy was then. He was like 42. No, he was probably 43, 45. I remember the one day we were sitting over at John Henry's rehearsal studio over in England, and it was Oz's birthday, and we were just getting hammered in rehearsal, and I'm sitting on the couch with him. He throws up right there, and he goes, "Oh," he goes, "I beat Elvis in regards because he made it to 43 because Elvis passed away at 42." So
And
like that was like
43 seems so young to me now. It seems so old back then.
well,
It
yeah,
seems so
being that
young.
that I'm 58 years old, I just like to look back and I'm like, that's pretty funny, man.
Mhm.
I remember when we were at
seeing that.
Ozzy's 50th birthday at the house with Dimebag there, Marilyn Manson, Rob Zombie, like everybody was at the house. And that was when he was turning 50. I'm 58, just funny.
Yeah, it's we remember that No More's tour. I said I was seeing Ozzy farewell tours before it was cool as in New York City. I was saying that was long ago, and yet Ozzy, think about how many years he stuck around and how many times he reinvented himself. Only a real legend does that, to make so many comebacks. How many times did Ozzy reinvent himself, make a comeback? You thought he was done.
Like, I remember that tour. He was in good shape because I remember seeing him. He had a trainer, and he was boxing with a trainer backstage. I remember, so he was in pretty good shape at that time, right?
No, but well, it's all diet too, though, because I think Oz wasn't drinking as much.
Yeah.
And also his diet, because I mean, used to eat. We used to call him Red Snapper because he was eating Red Snapper all the time. He would eat. He was just like on a fish diet, and obviously fasting and everything like that. So it's all diet, man. It's all what you eat. You can do a gazillion sit-ups every day. You're not gonna have abs if you're not eating right, man. And that's that. Just a fact, man.
Yeah.
Zakk, Pantera is what's up for the moment right now, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. We're doing we just did a show over with the Minnesota Viking chapter last night, and then I guess we were home for 10 days, and then we fire up the second leg of the tour. Yeah, we're having a blast, man. I mean, it's just every night, and it's truly a beautiful thing every night, because you have the Pantera faithful that are there that are like, man, Zakk, I seen the guys when they were playing in a bar with about 6 people, and 4 of them were employees. You know what I mean? So, to seeing it now, and Phil will do it every night. Like, he'll go, how many people saw us back in the day? And Phil, like last night, because I remember the first time we played Minnesota with Suicidal Tendencies. We were opening up for Suicidal, and like, you know, last night we were playing the Target Center, and Phil was just like, how many people, this is their first time hearing these songs live? And I mean, it's like amazing how many people, it'd be like, you know, Zeppelin coming back around, and how many people have never seen Zeppelin? You know what I mean? I'm saying that are in the audience, because I mean, you're talking about, you know, a couple, you know, a decades in between. You know, you'll have your faithful, but I mean, it's just like people that have either parents are bringing them there that were, you know, 2 years old when the band stopped, and then and now they're, you know, they're 28 years old or they're in their 30s. You know, they were 6 years old when the band stopped. So I mean, this is their first time, you know, experiencing the songs live. So, and you know, and it's just a beautiful thing carrying, you know, this amazing thing. This you know, it's a cultural thing, and it's a community of, you know, just the a Pantera nation, just all the people getting together and celebrating what, you know, what Philip, Rex, Dime, and Vinny created. So to me, you know, it's a beautiful thing every night.
And you've handled it with such respect. You know, in the beginning, people were apprehensive. I don't know about this. The brothers are no longer with us, but the music is with us, and the music will be here
I
forever.
just think it's hilarious. Somebody goes like this, like they'll go, "This is nothing but a tribute band," and I go, "Yes, that's what it is." Wait, what more could it be? That's exactly what it is.
No, we.
Oh my God! Just
everybody
like, I mean,
appreciates you doing it.
no, because I just equated to like if Jimi Hendrix, if Noel and Mitch would have asked Eric Clapton, who was a pallbearer at Jimmy's funeral, said, "Eric, would you come out and sing and play Jimmy's stuff, and we're gonna go out and just call it Experience Hendrix and honor Jimmy, and do a big celebration of his life." And it's like, well, this can't be the Jimi Hendrix band. It's like, I know it isn't. It's Eric Clapton singing Jimmy's stuff and playing it with Mitch and Noel. I mean, like, I don't know. Last time I checked, like, that's a beautiful thing. A buddy paying tribute to his buddy that he loves. So it's just kind of silly, man.
You said it. There's younger people. We talked about it earlier. We're talking about magazines. These younger people want to collect magazines. They want physical media. They want to hear the music of Pantera. And look, the people are coming out. You've certainly shown that there's a lot of interest, and people are touched. You read the reviews of people who've seen it. They're moved by seeing this music. So I can't say that would be a bad thing.
No, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, like when we all go out, what are you doing, Chorizo? Chorizo. What are you doing, buddy? No, it's just like even when we do Experience Hendrix, you know, we're paying tribute to Jimmy every night, and it's a beautiful thing. Everybody's up there is doing their rendition of Jimi Hendrix songs. It's awesome. And then you know, and every night with Oz, whether I was playing guitar with Oz or Gus or Joe or Jake or Brad Gillis or Bernie Torme, and we're all paying tribute to everything that Randy created with Oz, you know? So, I mean, how is that a bad thing? I mean, that's just to me, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and going back to the Ozzy thing, a fitting way to end it, to have Jake there, to have Rudy there, to have some of these people be part of it. I think it was for the Ozzy fan.
Yeah, it was awesome seeing Jake there, obviously Rudy, and then like everybody. It was awesome, for sure.
Mark, anything you want to say?
I don't know.
You're just like listening, like me. Yeah, we could listen to you talk.
It was kind of crazy because, like, with Mark, we were there, you know, with the first photo shoot to when we did the gig in Russia, the Moscow Peace Festival, and to that, you know, the Back to the Beginning thing. It's kind of crazy.
Right.
A lot of people asking about the Moscow Peace Festival in the comments. A crazy experience. Mark, you were on the plane with the guys, right?
I was, yeah. It was a fun time. It was a lot of.
But you gotta remember, the flight took off in L.A. to Newark. Then there was a layover to pick up Bon Jovi, the Cinderella
Right.
guys,
Yeah.
and make a stop there. Then so there was like a 4-hour layover, whatever it was. So all of us are back in the bar, and then buying duty free because there wasn't supposed to be any booze on the plane.
Mhm.
So everybody's buying duty free and booze on that one. Yeah, there you go. I remember that.
That's the plane. That's on the plane.
Yep.
They were
With
jamming.
Tom, because Tom had his '59 Les Paul when he was walking around.
Right.
So we left Newark Airport, flew to Heathrow, and what's that? Another 7 hours, whatever it is, 7, 8, 6, 7 hours. Landed in Heathrow for another 4.5, 5-hour layover. Everybody's back in the bar there because we were picking up the Scorpions and all the guys because they flew in from Germany to London, and we were picking up all the other bands. And then, so there was another drunk fest going on, another 4 hours drinking in the bars there. Then we flew from there to Russia, and then there was more drinking going on the plane. So it was literally almost like a 24-hour nonstop, Irish pub session going on in the air. I mean, it was actually pretty hilarious. But I mean, no, it was nothing but great memories, man.
I mean, there was people like, I remember Sebastian was like sleeping in between like underneath like the seats. So it was like his feet would stick out of the aisle. So you have to, the stewards have to like step over his feet.
No, totally. It was hilarious, man. The whole entire trip was absolutely hilarious. So, I mean, every time whenever I see it when it's on, I mean, like, obviously I just have nothing but great memories, but I mean, absolutely hilarious though.
Yeah, you could probably count on one hand the amount of people who were sober on that experience.
No, the funny thing is the Motley guys.
They were in the front. They were in the front
because the Motley guys, that's when they were doing the Dr. Feelgood record.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was right before that album came out. So, but yeah, man, the guys were doing their best to like stay away from all the idiots, all of us. But yeah, the guys didn't drink. They didn't do anything. I mean, the Motley guys were like, no, we're doing this.
Someone should make a documentary. I mean, I think there might be, but there's got to be a movie about that experience. That many legends in one place. It's just a crazy event.
Actually, Doc's doing something right now. They're doing a documentary.
What about that trip?
Yeah, they're gonna interview me actually probably this month or next month on it.
I mean, just the plain layover bar stops.
That should be a movie on its own.
A movie in itself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, amazing. Anyway, so many people saying nice things, and people excited to see you, Zakk. Everyone's here because we want to support Mark and continuing rock magazines. That's the reason we all came out to talk a little bit and get people to go to the Kickstarter and fund it so that we can all sort of get on a plane and sit back and read a magazine. It's something that I don't think I've done in a long time. Yeah. And we can show our Sebastian Bach pinups with pride.
Without a doubt. I had that up on my wall back in the day as well. So there you go. Now I can buy it again and put it back up in the gym.
Exactly. Zakk, Black Label Society later this year?
Yeah, probably 2026. We're working on stuff. Yeah, because we got the 2 videos out with the Gallows and Lord Humongous. So, yeah, we're getting ready. I guess in this 10 days that we have home, we're going to knock out another one.
Nice. And people can check that out online as well. Mark, I think Zakk has kind of summed it all up. I don't think we could go out with a bigger bang.
Without a doubt. I landed from the show last night. I just got in because I'm back out in California, and Mark was like, Zakk, you want to do? We're doing a chat together. I said, yeah. As soon as I get out of the airport, I said I'll give you guys a shout. So yeah, it's always great talking to you guys.
We're going to share. We're going to share this link again so that we can support, because again, the way these Kickstarter things work is if we don't raise the money, it doesn't happen. So we want to do it. You can buy some really cool prints from Mark's career, own a piece of photo history, and get this magazine made so that we can all get back to what we were doing. The link is in the comments. I see people supporting as they're going, and I'm sure many more we'll do it, and we'll get this magazine out for everybody. Blas, thank you for stopping by. I'll see you on tour with Stephen Pearcy, Warren DeMartini.
Thank you very much, and Mark, good luck. I will put your info on my social media. It's a cool, really cool thing you're doing. Zakk, great to see you, and hopefully we'll run into each other in person one of these days.
Yeah, without a doubt, my bro. Always great talking to you, boss. To give
All
the
right,
rest of the fellas my love when you see them, buddy.
For sure.
And Mark, you bring it home. Tell me what give your last plea. Let's get this magazine made.
I mean, it's my passion. I want to keep creating. I want to have a website where I can, mentor other photographers and journalists. We have a platform for that, which Mikkel is going to be, doing with their website. So I just go on markweiss.com, go on rockmag.com, see what we're doing, check out our mission statement, take the time to look at all our little clips. And there is a cool clip that I did with David Lee Roth a few months ago at M3, where I haven't seen him in 40 years, and he's going to be on the cover of the third issue. And he actually calls me out, and it's pretty funny what he says. So if you want to see it, I didn't post it anywhere. It's on the Kickstarter campaign. You got to scroll down a little bit, but it's pretty classic. After 40 years not seeing him, and he sees me in the, I shot at the show, and he calls me out and calls me something funny. And
you got to see it. Yeah. Blas and I were there. We saw it in person. We watched it. And you're the only person Dave addressed. So that's a big honor.
And you'll see the photos on there too from back in the day.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. It was such a great time. I felt like we had an old-fashioned rock party. Now we just need some magazines. Like, comment, subscribe. And we'll see you all again. Thank you so much.
All right, guys.